In today's video, we will look at some of the latest forecasts from realtor.com, Zillow, and several other industry experts. I'm going to show you what they are saying and give you my thoughts on it so we can see a clearer picture for 2023. Hey guys, my name is Mac Rogers. I'm a real estate broker here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Welcome back to the channel. Let's start with realtor.com. One of their predictions is this: home prices won't drop, defying expectations. Realtor.com said that this will be a tough time for first-time home buyers. With the continued increase in mortgage rates, they are saying that monthly mortgage payments are expected to be 28% higher than this year, 2022, and that is 50% more than 2021. Add to this their prediction of home prices rising 5.4% nationally year over year, and you can see why higher mortgage rates have decimated a lot of home buyers' dream of owning a home. That 5.4% is good news though. No more double-digit price appreciation. Danielle Hale from Realtor.com says this: most other forecast calls for price declines, but that's not what we are expecting. The important thing to note here is that not all markets are the same. Some will definitely decline while others will still be strong. But when we factor in or look at the overall market, I'd say that 3 to 5% increase nationally won't surprise me. Right now, we have home sellers that don't want to lower their prices too much. There's still that thinking or feeling of hope that they are clinging to, that after watching their neighbors sell at the top of the market, that it could still happen. And the reality is that there are still too many home buyers out there who may want to buy a home. So you have expectations that are meeting or matching reality. They said that on the rental side of things, it's not looking good either. Here's what they have to say. Renters, many of whom are already suffering from sticker shock, won't fare any better. Nationally, rents are expected to rise by 6.3% year over year in 2023. While painful, it's also far below the double-digit jumps experienced earlier this year. This kind of makes sense because if home buyers are pulling back on buying homes, that would mean that they will continue to rent. Makes sense, right? However, what I'm hearing anecdotally from several clients that either have rental properties or property managers that I talk to is that they are having problems with tenants, meaning late payments, etc. To be honest, I don't know what to make of this. Like I said, I can see the argument logically that rents will continue to go higher because of the demand, and yet I also see the weakness because of the continued layoffs that we are experiencing. Or maybe this is just here in the Bay Area. Next, they talked about mortgage rates. Let me read what they have to say about this. Mortgage rates will stay frustratingly high. Soaring mortgage rates have ground the housing market to a halt, forcing many would-be buyers to stay put or rent for longer than they had anticipated. Many plan to jump back into the home buying fray once rates come down, but they may have to wait for longer than they had hoped. Realtor.com predicts that mortgage rates will average 7.4% in 2023, trickling down to 7.1% by year's end. Rates are expected to remain high thanks to the Federal Reserve. As it hiked up its own interest rates to slow inflation, mortgage rates have followed a similar upward trajectory. And the Fed seems committed to continuing to raise rates. While the Fed's actions are only one component that goes into mortgage rates, it's emerged as a significant one this year. That's expected to keep rates around 7%, where they were a few weeks ago before falling to the mid 6% range after inflation showed signs of cooling. Even though we've seen some progress on inflation, it's 3.5 to 4 times higher than the Feds would like it to be, says Hale. That means there's more work to be done for the Feds. This is a very dire scenario if you ask me. It seems to me that their over 7% projection is just too high. I know inflation is still high, but it's starting to come down, and as we enter 2023, I think the next round of CPI numbers will show further decline in inflation. And to me, because of this, I see the Fed starting to pause or slow down their rate hikes, especially if it's hurting the economy and the housing market too much. Here's another thing. Most lenders that I talk to are all looking forward to the second quarter of next year. Most of them are telling me that their internal forecasters are saying that that's when we will start to see a shift back to lower mortgage rates. Not below 3% though, okay? Next prediction they have is this: the number of homes for sale will surge. Listen up, home buyers, you've been wanting and waiting for this. There will be more choices this coming year. In fact, they predict a 23% increase in existing homes for sale. Not new home construction, only resale homes. New construction is still pulling back on building more inventory simply because they don't want to get stuck with a bunch of inventory that they will need to start discounting. Now, here's the tricky part on this bump in inventory. The increase is not due in part to more sellers coming on the market, but rather because the number of homes for sale are expected to sit on the market longer. Why? Because of affordability. The fact is there are fewer buyers who can afford to purchase with today's high mortgage rates. So more inventory, but still way below what we have to meet demand. They forecast that we are still 15% below that what it was back in 2019. Why 2019, you ask? Because 2019 was the last normal year we had in real estate. I actually believe that the current environment that we have right now is the new normal. I don't think we're going to go back to a market where we will start to have an oversupply of homes. And part of the reason is that new construction homes are just not building enough. Daniel Hale sums it up like this: they can't build them at prices that buyers can afford. Land, materials, and labor costs are simply too high. They're pulling back on permitting and housing units they are starting. You see, it's not only mortgage rates, but simply the cost of materials, labor, and land are going through the roof as well. All these things that I just mentioned leads to their next prediction, which is the number of homes for sale will fall. Here's what they had to say about this. The number of home sales is expected to keep dropping as buyers keep getting priced out of the market. Sales are anticipated to fall 13.8% year over year in 2022 and then keep decreasing by 14.1% in 2023. There will be just 4.53 million sales next year, the fewest transaction since the depths of the Great Depression in 2012. Great Recession of 2012. I don't think this is neither good or bad. It's just what it is. You see, I believe that what the pandemic did to the housing market was it just accelerated most people's plan of buying a house when we had those severely low mortgage rates. I think that if we didn't have the pandemic and just stayed the same course as 2019, transaction volume would have been around 5 million per year. They ended their forecast with a note about recession. Here's what they had to say about this. A severe recession could upend these predictions. While realtor.com doesn't expect the nation will succumb to a major recession, economists aren't ruling it out entirely. Typically, during a downturn, the Fed cuts its interest rates. That could cause mortgage rates, prices, and home sales to fall. While some home buyers are likely to jump into the market as soon as rates go down, others won't want to make what is often the largest purchase of their lives during a downturn when their jobs might not be stable. And some folks will become unemployed or lose overtime and side gigs, making home ownership unaffordable. If prices decline, it might bring buyers back, says Hale, but a more severe recession would mean fewer sales. I think that's a fair assessment. When consumer confidence is down, it doesn't matter whether prices are low and interest rates are low as well. The fact is, most people are afraid to act when there is a downturn. And with most homeowners that might have some inclination to move, most of them have super low mortgage rates right now. A lot of them will simply not make a move. Homeowners that wants to upgrade, homeowners that wants to downsize, or homeowners that just wants to move, they are just staying put and weathering this housing storm. Because if they move and it means getting a new mortgage, it doesn't make sense financially. So that's realtor.com's prediction for next year. Basically, they expect home ownership rate in America to remain steady, going down a bit to 65.7% in 2023 from 65.8% in 2022. Personally, I think that as we move on to 2023 and beyond, this home ownership numbers will decline further if we do not get more inventory from new construction homes. Moving on to Zillow's forecast. They have what they call 5 bold predictions for the housing market. The first one, the Midwest to feature front and center in 2023. Zillow is saying that because the Midwest still has some of the most affordable cities in the nation. This is the region that will see a lot of growth for this coming year. The Midwest and the South are still some of the most affordable places around the country. So it makes sense that in a year where we are still facing higher mortgage rates, we will continue to see the shift to these less expensive areas, especially also if we still have a lot of people working from home. The second prediction, buying with friends and family will gain momentum. Zillow said that because of soaring prices that this will become popular. I don't know so much about buying a home with friends. Maybe because I'm much older now, I do see families pooling their resources to buy a home. This family pooling of resources certainly is not a new concept. I've seen it before, particularly in high-cost areas like the Bay Area. The thinking is not only to lower the cost of home ownership, but also to get in some certainty and build enough equity for the families to eventually be able to buy on their own. Zillow did a survey and this is what they found out. A Zillow survey fielded this spring found that among successful recent home buyers, 18% had purchased along with a friend or a relative who wasn't their spouse or partner. And 19% of prospective homebuyers intended to buy with a friend or relative in the next 12 months. For both groups, affordability and qualifying for a mortgage were cited as the reasons for buying together. The third prediction, affordability crisis will stabilize if not improve. Here's what they had to say about affordability. The share of median income required to pay housing costs is the biggest challenge for buyers, sellers, and renters today. Monthly mortgage costs have doubled since 2019, driven by pandemic-era price hikes and, to an even greater degree, by rapid mortgage rate growth this year. High mortgage rates are not only pushing buyers to the sidelines, they're tanking new inventory as homeowners decide to hang on to their current houses in low rate. Renters are not exempt from the madness. Rents have grown faster than wages, making it harder to save up for down payment. The average hourly wage has grown 23% over the past 5 years, but rents are up 37% during the time after the pandemic era surge. Affordability will continue to be the driving force in the housing market in 2023, but there is a decent chance it will improve. At the very least, the market should stabilize, making it possible for households to budget and plan for housing decisions coming up in the months and years ahead. I like how they said it. The crisis will stabilize, because I believe it will remain a crisis. The fact of the matter is that when we talk of a housing crisis, it's not only houses for sale that are in short supply. Supply of homes and apartments for rent is also in short supply. And as we continue on this path of higher cost of construction, whether it's labor or materials, and also restrictive building regulations, it will continue to be a crisis. The fourth one I already see happening, but I caution would-be investors. They said there will be a surge in first-time landlords in 2023. A lot of people that have money sitting on the sidelines are concerned about returns on their investments. With rents increasing, some of these people are looking into real estate as a safe haven. And also, property owners that can buy and don't need to sell, they are choosing to rent out their property because they see rents increasing faster than equity appreciation. My caution here is to make sure you know what you're doing if you want to rent out your property. I'd say hire a property manager to make life easier on you. There are so many laws that you need to keep up with, and the liability part of this is also daunting. The fifth bold prediction, new construction strength will be in rentals. Here's what Zillow said. Builders of multifamily units are, in contrast, much more bullish. The number of multifamily units to start construction each month has fairly steadily increased, reaching 8% up from pre-pandemic in October. Elevated multifamily permits also point to a strong vote of confidence in continued demand for rental units despite looming recession fears. This confidence will also encourage more construction of build-for-rent homes, as many would-be homeowners will need to continue renting into their later life of stages, if now unable to qualify and move forward with purchase of their own. I guess this shouldn't be a surprise, since the forecast for demand for single-family homes is going down and rent are increasing. Money flows where it can make more money. That's Zillow's 5 bold forecast. Like I said, I think only one that I am totally not clear on is buying with friends. And again, maybe it's just me and where I am in my stage of my life. I just see so much complications around that. Heck, I even see it with buying with your own family. Anyway, here are other forecasts that I want to share with you or just make you aware of. In regards to financing, I think we start to see a lot more exotic financing or ARMs, adjustable rate mortgages, in the coming years. And not in a bad way like we had in the mortgage crisis. I believe that the banks need to start making money again, and they will find creative ways to do this. Some people might be worried that we might be in danger of going through another mortgage meltdown. This definitely won't be the case this time around because credit standards are higher and stricter. So even if we see this increase in ARM loans, I think we can rest assured that today's borrowers are much more qualified than last time. I know foreclosure is in the back of people's mind. I've covered this in several videos before. What you will see on the headlines or in the news is that the foreclosures are doubling or increasing, which is true and will be true because we had a moratorium on foreclosures. However, the sheer number of foreclosures is not going to be anywhere near what we had before. Here's what Odetta Cushy with First American Financial have to say about this. Foreclosure is the result of two simultaneous triggers: the lack of ability to pay, which results in delinquency, and the lack of equity in a home. We don't have a problem with equity. Most homeowners have enough equity in their homes to sell and still walk away with money in their pockets. Last time around, this wasn't the case. Homeowners were walking away from their houses simply because they had no equity. Not only did they not have equity, a lot of those homeowners did not even put any money down on their homes that they got. They simply did not have any skin in the game. And here's the last thing that I want to share with you that kind of gets me excited because I believe there's lots of opportunity in this area. Mark Norman, an Associate Dean of the NYU School of Professional Studies, Schack Institute of Real Estate. We've lived with the pandemic for almost 3 years, but that still is not enough time to shift home ownership, financing, and regulatory systems for conversion of underutilized office space. We might see the beginning of conversions, but most buildings will stay in limbo due to long-term commercial leases and the continuing high cost of finance. He is talking about commercial to residential conversions here. I truly believe that there's plenty of opportunity to help our housing issues with this one. There are several malls that are closing or have been closed for a while. Office buildings that are completely empty. They need to be repurposed instead of just sitting there. Incentives, whether it's tax breaks or financing, could help spur this on. Look, we can't continue to wait for people to die or new construction to help alleviate housing challenges. We need other sources, if you will, and commercial spaces could be one of them. That's the forecast for this coming year from realtor.com, Zillow, and other experts. Of course, all of these things could go the other way if our economy completely tanks. Hopefully not. Thanks for watching. If you're in the Bay Area, if you need help buying or selling, give us a call, a text, or an email. We would love to help you out. Happy New Year.